So, no, I wouldn't say I have a passion for HR.
Welcome back to Human Resources for the People. It's a human capital revolution. There's a strike happening on the west coast of the United States and Canada coming up that's going to impact your wallet. We talk about it. It's the International Longshore and Warehouse Union. And the news out today is coming from Canada. 7,000 unionized dock workers are going to join the picket line soon. And it's looking like June 24th, so there's a little bit of time before that will take place. But the International Longshore and Warehouse Union, ILWU, voted to strike. They've been meeting on their contract for almost a year. It'll be a year in July between the port workers and the British Columbia Maritime Employers Association. Now, this matters because it's actually not just them. We'll talk about that in a little bit and why it might affect your pocketbooks. So there on the ILWU, there is potential headwinds that are going to cause this to happen anyway. They have some leverage, but what they're doing, what the union is doing, is in Canada, is seeing the record profits that the maritime associations and the ports made during the COVID pandemic and looking for that money. Unfortunately, that money has gone away. The price of a cargo container has dropped precipitously since the COVID pandemic, and they're not doing that well. But they're wanting their piece, and they are looking for wage increases. Now, I bring this all up because in Oakland and throughout the West Coast in California, there is a shipping slowdown connected with the ILWU as well. So on the West Coast, the union has also been in talks for over a year with respect to its contract, and there is a massive discrepancy. The Pacific Maritime Association, which is the West Coast ports, are wanting to freeze wages for 3 years. So they're wanting to not give wages to the longshoremen for the next 3 years. Obviously, the longshoremen are not pleased with this. And so they are not striking yet. So let me be clear right now, the American longshoremen are not officially striking. They're slowing down. And so you can see that it went, for example, last week, the amount of container units went from 25,000 to 35,000 waiting in Oakland. In Los Angeles and Long Beach, it went up 51,000 units from 21,000 units. And so, and that's, it's roughly $5.2 billion worth of cargo that's sitting off the port, off the West Coast. And it's really, at this point, there's no clear, I say it's a slowdown, but there's no clear cause. There are some ports that are reporting that they are calling everyone. However, they, on the flip side of that, the labor union is saying they're not slowing down at all, that the Pacific Maritime Association is not bringing people into the site. The PMA, or the Pacific Maritime Association, is not allowed in the union hall to see if they're even passing down work for the union employees. And so there's no way of really knowing what is actually going on. But there's sick outs. There's times where the unions have said that they're having safety issues with the equipment and things like that. And so things are not moving through the ports. Now, it is not an official strike, but things are magically appearing to move slowly through the ports for some unknown reason that, magically no one knows. Most likely it's because of the slowdown. Here you can see that the average number of containers waiting off the West Coast ports has absolutely skyrocketed this year, and there's 120,000 containers waiting out in off the West Coast. So what does that mean for you? Well, if this is food, which some of it undoubtedly is, that food is going to rot. If it's other items, you're going to have higher prices now as demand is skyrocketing for these goods. But then once it makes its way in there, you're going to have the supply shock of all of those goods coming through. Now, much of those goods of course, are coming from China and Asia, and so those goods that are Chinese made are going to get more expensive. Ultimately, the Pacific Maritime Association probably sees this fairly favorably because right now they're witnessing the fact that quite a bit of the price of a container of goods is dropping, right? And they can make money elsewhere because when the rates drop in, when there's tie-ups in the West Coast, it becomes more expensive to ship in the East Coast. And so they may be seeing some profit by this slowdown. Who knows? But ultimately, what it'll mean is that the prices will go up for goods. And now we're seeing that Julie Su, who's the labor secretary from the Biden administration, is getting involved in this strike. That is going to bring a whole new level to it. I don't imagine it'll be very good. The Biden administration has already failed with the railroads. I mean, they succeeded, but ultimately they succeeded in getting a contract, but ultimately it was at the detriment of the rest of the United States, as we saw in Ohio and elsewhere. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Leave a like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys.